Hi, this is Tilak. Welcome to my VB tutorial, Visual Builder Studio tutorial. Today what we are going to see is a tutorial provided by Redwood UI Shell. They have created a PDF version. I'm trying to convert them into a video, visual version. So I'm going to follow it, whatever they are doing here. Maybe a little more explanation or little I'm going to tell my understanding it. I'm not an expert, so I try to say what I know. Well, this is the first tutorial, Redwood, hello Redwood world. You have to follow that link from here. Like, you have to have access to Redwood Git repository. If you don't have access, you cannot do this tutorial. You can see the video, but if you want to practice the tutorial, you have to have access to the Redwood Git repository. Okay. Now, if you are looking at here, that is the link is am-learning.ocOraclecorp.com learning. Without that, you can't if you don't have access to this URL, no, you cannot do that because that is only available here. Okay. Now, what we do here? Now, okay. Now they are basically telling to create the workspace. We'll create a workspace and that has to be cloned from that repository which is given to us. Then we can give a name, branch, everything. This is what we are going to do that. And after that, once it is done, I'll try to explain the components of Visual Builder. If you are already know that, you can skip the part. You can get into that the second. After that what explanation you can get into that. Let's see. Now we'll get into creating it. Okay. Now I'm in a workspace. I'm going here workspace. I'm cloning the workspace. Say hello Redwood world lesson 1, something like that. Choose the repository. I'm creating this Redwood repository. Okay, and we are choosing the branch main tutorial 1. Let me confirm that part. Main tutorial start, not one. Main tutorial start. Main tutorial start. This is the branch we are copying. We are creating new branch. You can give a TLK hello world lesson 1, something like that. You can give any unique name. Probably that underscore is underscore. Okay. Okay, I just give this one. Okay, I create that. So once it's created, you open the Visual Builder Studio. I try to explain the components of it. If you already know that, you can skip the tutorial. It's a welcome page. You can close that. Okay. When you are creating that page, it basically creates application. Let's move here. Okay. Now this is application. The application has got a main flow, and the main flow has got a main start page. If you are looking at this is as a default, defined as a default one. If you are creating a more page, you can change that. The default flow, you can change it if you are creating a more this one. The defaultness is defined here. You can change it if you want to do that. If it is the same way, if you are looking at the main, if you are looking at the JSON, this is here. How you can do that. You can also go to the setting. You can change that part here. Also, you can change that. The main page, whichever the page, you can change it. Or you can go to the diagram. Here also you can change the main page, not that flow. The flows only can be changed in the application level JSON file. Okay. Now this is that navigator. This is a mobile application. When you are developing a mobile application, this is what you are using it. Web application, this is what you are using it. Service. Now the service basically allow you to create a service. For creating a service, you have to have access to that the service provided by the application. So now for that, you have to create that access here. So you go to the backend, you choose this one, select the server, this part, you edit that, you give the URL, okay, to that the deployment where you can take in the REST services. Then you can give the username and the password here. Now, okay, the tutorial basically talking about doing it. I'm not doing here, do it here because the first tutorial does not need this one. First tutorial does not use any REST service, so you don't need that. So we are not doing it. If, in case if you want to follow the same thing, you can provide the tutorial like an URL here. Okay, the URL is like depends what kind of service you are using it. Here, basically, they are talking about RRA services. So wherever it is deployed, like is provided, you have to use that. Anyway, I'll use a service. So I'll tell you what kind of service I'll use it when it comes into that. Like lesson 2. Business object, you can define that. You can create a business object, and the layout. Okay, we are not going to do anything. I'll tell you this is a dynamic layout. Like one of the lessons, I think fourth lesson or fifth lessons, using a dynamic layout. I'll let you know that. This is the components. Okay, the component basically whichever component developed provided we can install it if it is not available. In the tutorial, like probably tell you to install something, but the current version we have everything whatever we need that. We are not going to install anything. So, but if you want to install something, you can install it from here. That is again a process. Okay, like we are not going to do it in this tutorial. Okay, the source. Source is a different way of viewing the entire application. For example, if you are going here, it says like you are just seeing the names, you are not seeing what it is. But if you are going to the source, it tell you like what are the services available, like settings, the web application. Like if you are looking at the web application, this is the application. Then it says flow. What are the flows available? That's a flow, like main flow. Then within the flow, you can have subflows or you can have pages. Within the page, what are the pages available? The page basically what you see is just a name here, but you are seeing 3 files here because the page made of 3 files. One is HTML part, JavaScript, and the setup. That is basically all these the definitions. That's a JSON file. So you have the definition of the HTML page, the HTML part, and the Java service part. Okay. The same way, if you are coming here, I think it is in the resources. If you are going here, the string, like you can have your CSS images, everything. You can put that. Like whatever the string we are creating here, that is goes here. Like if you are going root, going here. Like not in the NLS part. Okay, it is. This is where it is goes here. The NLS is whatever that this is the NLS. The language definition goes here, but this is where this goes here. Okay. Okay. Now, how do we see from this here? Like here the resources are there. You can go here string, the applicant NLS part. Okay. So this is what you are going to look at that. We have we already have a few things like sample page title. Welcome to us. So like you can add the sample page title there. Description also you can add that if you want. You can add this variable over there. You can do that. Okay, that is about that revocation. Like if you are coming to the, if you are creating the, okay, now we come back to this one application. Now you are opening a page. You can open the page when the page opens here. The page basically application page, everything has got the same component. The diagram or a page, like when you come into the page, it is a page design everything. Here is a diagram. Action is basically like kind of a triggers. You can do some kind of action over that. We will do that action even it is when that action is happens. Basically on a click button or like open a button something. Even also like you can do the same thing like type. Type is basically whenever you are creating a custom variable, you need a type. Like if you are using a REST, the REST create a type. The type basically uses by the variables. Okay, the JavaScript is you can write a function. You can write a function in a page level or a flow level or a application level. JSON is nothing but a definitions of page or application, everything. This is what you are going to do here. Okay. What else here? I think very much we covered this part. Now we'll see what are we going to develop for this tutorial. How that end application is going to look. Okay, you have a page. Okay, the page will be named as per that, it's reworded as per the tutorial. Subtitle you can change it. There will be an input box. Okay, we'll have the Redwood on the template, and that in that there will be a input box, and there is a button to show. Okay, this input box is attached to a variable called name. Now, if you are putting any name and my name, okay, and if you are pressing the show, you are going to do a kind of action. The action will open a dialog box. The dialog, you also kind of add a dialog box into that. That will open the dialog box. The dialog box has got a output text which says hello and the name, whatever name you are putting it, and the exclamation mark. And this is you are going to define this one, and there will be a close button in the dialog box, which again you are going to. This is provided. The button is provided. You change the label on that. Then there will be action you develop that close the dialog box. Okay, now this will close it. Okay, this is one of that one set of tutorial. The other one is basically you are going to do a validation on this. This is a required. So if you are looking at that, this is the required one. Now, what happened is without a validation, even you press this one, this will open the dialog box. Now you are going to do a kind of a validation on that. So if there is no name, that will throw the error instead of opening the dialog box. That's all the tutorial is all about that. Okay. There will be smaller thing here and there. They will will do that. But this is the main purpose of this tutorial. Continue with our tutorial. Okay. In the tutorial, if you are looking at that, we've seen that the GitHub information. Then basically they want you to define that the service instance for that the definitions. We are not going to do that. As I said, I shown that we are not going to do that. We are not going to use any service in this tutorial. Okay, we will do that in the next tutorial, but that is where it's needed. Well, now what we are going to do here is basically we are going to run the page first. Then we are going to rename the. We are going to see that the help, the ask is also we are going to see that. Then the page will be renamed to create order. Okay, that the main start will be renamed to create order. That we will do that. Then what we do. Then we also see how the page fits into the canvas. That we can see that. Okay, this is where comes into that, how it is fitting into that. Okay. Okay. Now let's go back to the Visual Basic Studio. Okay. If you want to have a more space, you can minimize this one. You can hide them. You can do that. The same way you are coming to Page Designer. Here, this one also basically you can hide them. You can hide them. So you get a more space for your development. And when you want to need it, you can open that. You can do that. So basically, there are two. The navigation area, you can hide that. This is just click that on that, you can hide it. Okay. Now I'm going to run this page. Let's see how does it look like. Okay. Now, okay, this is what is given to us. This is basically going to the ask or the help area. Some of the things defined, so there is no any ask area. Okay. Now I'll come back to this one. Okay. Now the other area you can see here is this is how you can define that the 100% of the page, or you can do that how many percentages of that the page is displayed within the part. Okay. Now if you are giving 100 page, normally we use 100 page. Okay. The other part is that this is, you can look at that how it looks in a different So devices like iPhone 12, how does it looks? The page. Or if you are looking at the tablet, iPad, how does it look? So you can do that. Okay. So you know that that the different area, how does that the page is going to look like. Okay, that's a part here. That's it. Okay, and that the tutorial basically says that we are going to clean this area. Okay, there are two ways you can sorry the two way you can clean. Either you can delete from here or you can delete from here. Okay, if you have a component, you can do that. This also you can delete from here. Also you can do that. But we are going to do that code, and we are deleting the end there. So we are cleaning up everything. Once you learn that, this is also gone because there is no component here. Okay. Now we'll look back the tutorial. Sorry, it is. Okay, now look back the tutorial. What it says basically the ours. Okay. Now we can do the preview if you want. Like that's basically nothing but is empty page is going to come. Nothing more than that. See, that's empty page because nothing is there. Okay, now we'll add that a component into the page. Okay, the component is called what is the component? It's a structure table. Open the structure. Create and edit page template pattern. This is the component we are going to add into the page. Create and edit page template pattern. Okay, now let's see. Okay, now we go to the component. Create a simple create. Let's see. Yeah, that's right. It is called simple create and edit page template pattern. Okay. Now we say symbol create and edit template pattern. So basically I'm going to drop it here. As soon as I drop it here, see you can see the whole thing here. Like a symbol create. Is it item is coming here? Let me delete and create. I'm not sure. Let me have a look at how that looks here. Do we have item here? Yeah, this is right. This is how that looks. That is right. So as soon as we put that, we got all the component here. Okay, you go to the design back. Actually, you can drop it here also, like anywhere you can drop it. Like it's not necessary you have to drop it. You can drop it here. You can drop it within the code. So this is what output looks like. If you are running this page, now you see the output. Okay. You don't have to run it all the time. You can come and you can refresh the page. That is also fine. Okay. Okay. Now what the other things once we are done here, probably they will ask you to change the name. Okay. So space new page. Okay. Ask. This is ask. This is what we talked about. How the page looks like. Okay. New page. Now what they're asking you. Okay, that is done. The other part is basically they will ask you to. This is we saw that how you minimize, maximize the component. That's what they're talking about here. Okay, now symbol create and edit page. Okay, now how do we look at the property? Okay, there are many ways you can look at the property. Basically, you want to look at the property here. You click that, you get the property here. So basically, I'm clicking the page, you get the property here. Or you can come and click here. Still, you can go get the property. Like if you click this area dynamic form. You click here the symbol one, you get that property. So to open the property or get the property into the property area, you can click, either you can do it or even get into the page. Here also you can click that. That is also will do. Okay, for example, create and edit. See that now I'm looking at the dynamic form. Change. Okay, so get into the property, you can click anywhere here or in the code or in the designer page, that's fine. Now here we got that. Now we are going to basically change the page title. So what they want us to change. Okay. Okay, before the title, they are asking us to delete the property manager relative, scroll to the slot section and the main slot, however, over the dynamic form component and delete the icon. They want you us to delete that the dynamic area. Okay, that's okay. Now, how do you? There are many we can do that. You can just click that. You can right click it. You can delete that. That is also fine. Or you are coming to the symbol and component. Okay. The end, you are coming here. Here there is a delete. That is also you can do delete it. Either you delete there or delete here, or you can get into the code. You look this area dynamic one. Just you remove this part. That will also will do. It's all the same actions. So whichever way is convenient to you, you can do that. Okay, we'll do that whatever the tutorial is demanding. We'll go to that symbol and page here. Okay, we just delete it here. So the page is gone now. Okay, now that is done. Okay, delete is happened. Okay, now what we do here. Okay, okay, now so now they are expecting us to drop one more area into that. Now let's see where they are dropping. They are dropping that the form layout. They are dropping it here. Okay, so now let's see what they are telling us to that. The structure, drop the component over the symbol created in each template. Okay, okay. That is that. Basically, they are talking the starter track form layout component, and you are dropping within that symbol create edit page template. Okay. Now we say how do you form layout? We look for form here. Or it's called input layout. What exactly the name is? Track the form layout. Okay, now I'm going to drop the form layout in the main slot. Okay, so whenever the slot name always comes as at main. Okay, if we are looking at the code, we click the CS. It says slot main. This is how that it is defined in the code. So we see that at main here. Okay, okay. We have the form layout here, and so we drop the form layout. We can look at the code here. Okay, this is what they are looking about. That this is what we did. That okay, okay, form layout. Okay, now what we do here, verify that you can run the page. Okay, you don't have to run the page, just refresh the page. You are not going to see anything, just we added a form layout. There's no anything over there. So you're not going to see anything here. Add the input text. Okay, now you are going to add the input text within that form layout. Okay, now let's see. Now we go input text, input. Okay, I'm going to add the input text within that sum. Now it comes under the input text. This is so it is here. Okay. Now what we do here, probably we change the name of it. Okay, the hint we are changing to name, and we are going to make it record, and we are going to put a variable here. Okay, that's what we are going to do. That the variable also we are going to create a variable that will be called name. Okay, the type is string. That's what we are going to do here. Now let's see. I'm clicking the text input. The text will be name. Okay. Now either you can put the name here, or you can have a kind of you can create a kind of a string over here. Input name you can create that. For example, that is also I can do that here. There are like you can say input text label hint. That's fine. The name is here. So now it is translatable. Okay. Instead of that, it is going to create like this. Okay, so the name this will be the same. Okay, and I'm converting them into the required part. Now what we are going to do here is we are going to attach a variable into that. Okay. Now let's see. I'm going to the data. Okay, I don't have a variable. Now the variable can be created, come and create it here, or you can create the variable here itself. So I'm going to create a variable. The ID will be name, type a string, I created. So automatically it says variable.came. Okay. Now the variable is created in the page level. Now it is the same as this one. There's nothing wrong here. You can do it here like this way also you can do that. Let me have a look at that here. Sorry, it's spelled typo. Okay, page. Okay, you can do a page. It's the same as page dot variable dot name. It's the same as variable dot name. Like if you are having an application level, you can say application dot the variable is. So here we are basically developing the variable in the page level. So it is called variable dot name or page dot variable dot name. If you come and look at the variable here, name is here. If you click that, the same thing you see that. You can put add a description with a string. That's it. It is. So you can see all this. Here also it says wherever it is used, the variable is used. So we are using the main start. Okay. The only thing we didn't do that is we haven't renamed the page. So we missed that tutorial. Okay. There is somewhere they will ask you to rename the page, create order. Okay, I didn't do that. Now I'll come back and do that. Though uh, that is fine to me. Main start, I think it is create order probably. Let me have look at that. Sorry, that I missed it. Create order. Okay, this is what that is. Create order. I'll come and rename it. Okay, this is I didn't do that. Rename. Okay, create order. Okay, now what happened? You come into the main page. Now in the main, you look at the JSON. That's automatically change it here. If you are leaving the setting, that is also you see here, like change it. Even the same thing and look at the diagram also. See here, the default page. Earlier it was the start, now the main start, now it's a creator. So the defaultness automatically changed to that. Okay. Okay, now we go back to that where we left. Okay, now what we did was we deleted this one, we done this one, label we change that. Okay, now we are going to add a button. The button will be added next to the, we are looking that the button will be added next to the page. Okay, now below that. Okay, okay, now let's see how do we add that button. Now we are going here. We are going to create order. I don't want this area. So okay, now what I'm going to add here is basically below that. I'm going to add within the form layout below this one. This is what I'm going to add that. Okay. Okay, I'm going to add the button in the form layout. Okay. Now since you are putting the button here, now you can drag and drop it here to, or you can basically cut and copy that code up and down. You can do that. Now I'm just moving that to the upper level. No? It's not moved. Okay, move. The button came down. The button came down. Name is up. Okay. The button will be called close. Okay, what it says. The button is ID is show hello button. ID will be it is show. Okay, that is what it is. The button ID is okay. It is show. Here either you can type here show or you can create a translatable variable like a string. You can create that by clicking here. You can get rid of the string. You can create that. Then you can say what kind of a button you want that. Then if you have icon, where do you want the icon, all these things you can do it here. Okay, the button is done. Now we will see the next step. Next step, we are going to install the, we are going to add the dialog component. Okay, the dialog component important is exactly which place you are going to add that. You are going to add below that the symbol create the template, but it's parallel to the form, below form. That's what we are going to do. So it has to be placed it nicely, and that's going to trouble. So if you are in case like when you are drag and drop, it is not putting in right place, you can go to that code, you can change, like you can cut and paste it into the right place, or you can track it here. Either way is fine. Then we are giving a name like ID that help hello dialog. Then we are going to say them is the close the button. We are going to call it close and say close button. And then basically like what we do, like no, okay, we'll do this one, then we'll come back. Now we are going to add a dialog. Okay. Now dialog we are going to add that. Where we are going to add that, we are going to add that here. Okay. Now this is in a symbol, this one. Like we are looking at the symbol and the edit page is here. Okay, so basically this is where you are going to drop it. When you drop it, make sure that shows that, like I think I am in the right place, I believe. Yes. Now it shows you like symbol create edit page template, which slot we are going to do it in a main slot. Okay. Now once it is done, see that the dialog is exactly called within the sun. Okay. Now what is the ID we are going to give it? We are going to give an ID here. Okay. Okay. Hello dialog is the ID we are going to give for dialog. Okay. Now what is happening here is you can look at the code. Like quite often you can look at the code because that gives you exact understanding of what is going on. You look at the dialog, the display name is none, and the title is dialog and all this stuff. It is here. Okay. The body is exactly what is going on here. Like now we'll go back to the designing level. Now, how do you change that buttons information? There are two ways. Either you can go here and you can change it here, or what you can do here is temporarily you can basically show it here. Like that is, you can do that here. Like okay, so button I can say that click button, that is button comes the text is okay. Either you can create a text or you can say that like translated text is fine. Close. Okay. Then what is the name they want to give it? I want to give an exact name. Sometimes they use it again. So like that would be easier to remember, or like easier to follow the tutorial rather than remember. Okay. So okay, close button. Okay, that's all we are doing it. And this is, they will change that. Okay, now we'll come to the body. Okay. Okay, let me come here, dialog, show here, dialog. What up? Okay. And now here dialog, that what is it called? It is called dialog. So where is the text? Text, we'll change that into greetings. Okay. Where is the text? Okay, title. See, it's that we changing to greeting. Okay. Close is fine. Now, okay. Now, what are we going to do in the next? They are going to show this grade as a flex. Okay, that's it. Okay. Now we go back to dialog, temporary one. We just close it. Okay. Okay. Just take it off it. So that is done. Now if you are looking to the dialog, this is done, and this is, that's what they are telling. They are changing the creed. Which creed they change it? Let me have a look at that creed. That's right. Okay. That change reflects. They change reflects. Now they are adding a text and giving a name to hello. This is a variable to name. Okay. I recommend don't copy paste whenever there's a text. Okay. Try to do yourself so you'll remember. So even if you make a mistake, the more you make the mistake, more you will add. So basically, try to type yourself. That is easier. Okay. Now we are going to showing the dialog again. Now we are putting the text output. Okay, put text, no, just a text. We are dropping it here inside bind text. What is the value? Okay, what is the value they want here? They are telling here hello space. You are adding it, and basically you are bringing a name into that. Am I right? So I'm just clicking a name. Then you are adding it exclamation mark. That's all. I think that's much easier. Okay. So you want to give a space. That is fine. You give a space to make it a little nicer. Okay. Save. Automatically you get the double this one. Okay. Now you have to understand this, what it's doing. Whenever you are seeing the double, that square bracket, it means is a one-way communication. Basically is only read only. Whenever you are seeing that curly bracket, then it means it is basically two-way communication. Basically it is read and write. You can send the information, you can read the information. That's what you understand. Double curly bracket means is read and write. The square bracket means it is only read only. Okay. So since we don't, the variable is not, the name variable is not defined anything. This is says this one. Okay. Now we go back to dialog and close the box. So basically dialog is done. Dialog is just turn it off. Okay, sir. It is right. Okay, if there's something wrong, we just refresh it. Sometimes the page is not getting refreshed, so I'm refreshing the URL. Okay, done. Now, what is the next part of the lesson? Okay, now we are adding an action to open the dialog box. Okay, before that, if you want, you can just refresh the window. You can see that. So, okay, it is not going to do anything because now you have to create a kind of action, button action to open the dialog box. That is just a easier, just a drag and drop, nothing more than that. Okay, when I'm clicking the button, there's got an event. Okay, now we are adding event. There are two type of event you can add. One is a custom that is a default event, other one is a custom event. Now we are just going for the default event, OG action event. So once you open the action, it goes to the chain. It's called button actions chain. So now we'll give ID, whichever IDs they are asking us to put it, we'll put that. What's the ID? Okay, that is we can put anything, but okay, we just follow whatever they says. Okay, now what action is done. Now what we do here? So we are going to call a component. So we are going to call this and we are put it here. Okay, there are two ways you can do that here. Either you can drag and drop it here, or you can just click this plus button and you can say general, whichever areas here you can add that. Whichever is convenient to you, you can go for it. So I'm just putting a call in component. Okay, in the call component, again I go and just get the name of it. Hello dialog they are calling it. Okay, now it is hello dialog. Okay, now what is the component doing? It's calling a component. Okay, which component? So we are calling a hello dialog. Okay, so I think the name is wrong. Component is wrong. Okay, this is called hello method. That's what the name is. Okay, looks like again I have to refresh the page because I'm not seeing it. Okay, see call component ID is not a call component. ID is supposed to be the hello dialog. So call this one hello dialog, and what is the method? They are giving a default method. Okay, hello dialog. Okay. Now the problem what is happening is hello dialog name we have given a copy paste. We are giving a full stop. Now we there is a dot up after that. Now what we do here, we go to the page designer. This is the problem with the copy and paste. Okay. Now I go to the hello dialog. Just click it again. Okay, I just remove that dot. Okay. So the dot is removed. Now where are we? I'm going to the action. Okay. The action is there here. Okay. Now you can go back to the action. You can see all the actions depends here. All the actions are here. Okay. Now what is our action? Show hello dialog action chain. Okay. So it is red. The reason it's not completed. Okay. So I'm taking here. Okay. Method hello dialog. Hello dialog is right. And I'm calling the method. Okay. Now you can see that what are the things you can do that. What we are going to do here is basically we are going to open. Okay. So it is done. Now we go back to the page design. Now that when you are clicking the button, it has to open the panel. So it's doing it. Let's see. Okay. And the name also has to be passed through that. Okay, I put my name. I say show is open. Hello, my name. Exclamation. Okay. Now the close doesn't work here. The reason is the close is not. We haven't written action to that. So we will go back to that part. First refresh the page, so we go back to the default page. Now, how do we, okay, now what they are asking us to do? So, okay, it is done. Hello dialog, open is done, open is done. Okay. Now the thing is the open is done part. Okay, OJ action here. The button is already selected. Go to this name. Okay, what are they asking us to do? Page design. Okay, okay, that is fine. Now they are okay. Now basically they are writing an action here. OJ action they are writing here. What is the name they are giving it? This is what we need. It close dialog box. Okay, I'm interested. Okay, this is the name we need it. Now, okay, you go back here. It's a two-way. Either you can open that dialog, show the dialog, you can choose the button, or you can choose the button here. Either way is fine. It's easier. Okay, now what we do? We go to the event. I want the button here. Okay, the button here. I'm doing the event here. I'm adding an event, default event. So it's open the chain. Chain means basically like there's a when there's a multiple events are there, that's a chain. Okay. The event listener is on what and when that has to be like that event has to be that and when it has happened, like on a click or something like that, that's what event is. The action is basically that whatever the trigger you are writing it. Okay. Now what are we doing here? The same thing we are calling a call component because this time we are going to close that. Okay. This is not refreshing it, but this is I call the call component. Let me just refresh here. Okay, I need a name. By the time I get that name, okay, if we come back, We call the component. What is the name we are giving it? Okay. We are calling call method. Okay. Now what is the component we are calling it? We are calling the same component. Hello dialog. So basically dialog we are closing it. What are we doing it? We are closing it. Okay. Close. So this is done. Now we'll go back and work on the application. And refreshing the application. Giving some name here. Some name here. Okay. No. Okay, now I'm going to show here. It's showing here, right? Close. It's closing. So it's perfectly working fine. The job is done. Now, what is happening here is, even if I'm not giving a name, it goes to open that. Though it's doing the error, but the action happened. Now we have to control that part. Okay, now how do we control it? Okay, now we have to make sure it is validated. Now let's see how we are validating that. Okay. Now we are going to get into that validation. How we are going to validate? Okay, as for the tutorial, they are going to write a function in an application level. But it is not necessarily has to be written at application level. It can be written at a page level or a flow level. That is, anything is fine. But as for the tutorial, they are writing in application level. So we follow the same thing. Now, how do we write the application? Okay, let me explain. I recommend don't copy this one, paste it. You type it. That, like, the typing is always allow you to do a mistake. That is fine, but that is where you learn something. Now they are doing basically when you are doing a prototype is form validator. Basically, they are creating a kind of a function. The name is form valid into that app module. That's what they are creating it. Now the function has got a parameter. Now the parameter is nothing but the ID of a component in the page. So basically from the document they are getting that ID. Basically they are getting the component. Okay, then that is, they call it tracker. Now the tracker has got a property called valid. If it is valid, okay, so they are returning true. If it is not there in the tracker, they are basically they are doing to show message. Whatever the invalid message, they are trying to show that. And they are putting back to that the first invalid, the child component, the whatever that the component of that component. Okay, the first invalid shown. So whichever valid. If you have more than one valid, the first invalid, the that component, the focus is basically going back to this. In our case, what is happening? We are having only one component, that is the input box. So basically, it is going to show a message in the input box, and it is going back to that. The cursor is going back to that the input box and is returning false. So basically, the whatever the action we did, it is not going to happen. It is returning false. That's all it is doing here. So I just copy and paste it because I have done it more than one time. Okay, now I'm going there. Make sure you are going to the page designer. You are going to that web application. You are choosing the application. Okay, you are choosing the application. That is where you are going to the JavaScript. Just put it below here. Okay. So now we have the method. Method is ready. Okay, now how do we call the method and for what component we call the method? Now we'll go back to the tutorial. The tutorial says, what is it? Validation group. They're asking to add a validation group. Validation group on that what they are writing, they're asking to do the form layout. So basically what they are doing here is they are clicking the form layout and they are choosing something called surrounded by. Within that they are choosing a form validation. That's what you are doing it. The end, if you are looking at that, this is how it looks. Like the form validation is above that form layout. That's what the validation group is above that. And it is in the main. That's the slot is the main. That's what it says. Now how do we do that? Okay, now we are going back to, we are closing this part and okay, we are going back to where, okay. Now let's see, we choose the create order. Okay, then we are closing this one. We are going to the working area. Here the form layout, we are choosing that. Right clicking on that, it opens that, says is surrounded. Surrounded with what? A validation group. So basically a validation group is surrounded by form layout. So it became the parent of this one. So it falls in main. So that earlier if you see that the form layout has got a main. Nowadays the validation group is in the main. Now we have to have a proper ID here. Okay. Whatever ID you are putting it here, that is what you are going to pass it on clicking the button. Okay. Now let's see what is the name exactly they are using it. We use the same thing. So that is easier. Hello form. Okay, that is what they are calling it. So that is a hello form. Okay, so that's what we are doing. Now how do we do that? Now when we are doing here the show, now if the okay, now the logic is if the it is going the show button has to call the function, and if the page is the form is valid, it it basically calls the dialog box. If it is not, it is not doing anything because the function takes care of showing the message and going back to that. That's the logic. Now how do we do that? We are going back to the event. You can go the event here also, like you can choose the event listener. An event listener also fine here. You show that show here. What is it? Where is that dialog? Okay, close up. Okay, but okay. There might be a open also the close dialog action chain. Where is the open action chain? There must be somewhere. Open action chain. Show hello dialog action chain. Here also you can go there. Okay. There are many ways you can navigate. So I again show that this is the same thing here. We are looking for the show dialog action chain. That is what you are doing here. Okay. Okay. Now what we do, we add a if condition. Now, when you are looking here, there is something called logic. There's the if condition. You can add the if condition above that. Okay. Now, when it is true, what happened? When it is false, what happened? When it's true, basically, you are tracking back to here. So, if it is true, it is called the component. If it is false, nothing is doing it because that is happening here. If the if condition, what is the if condition we are doing here? We are going to call the method. Okay, now how do we call the method? Let's see, we'll come back to the form. Okay, the form says the application's function is form valid hello form. So I am more interested in this one. The remaining, I don't want to. I'll show you how do you do that. Okay, copy paste is easier way, but we are not going to do a copy paste. Okay, now the form is the condition is what? The condition is lies in the application. Am I right? So the expectation is when you are going to application, the function has to be shown here. But for some reason, that is not showing here. Now, instead of that, what we do here is we put that application dot function is form valid. Okay. Okay. Within that, okay, I'm just copy and pasting it. And by mistake, I gave up this one. Okay, so why are we doing a double this one? Let's see why we are giving it. Is that this already is covered by a single quote? No, even we can give a single quote also fine here. Okay, anyway, this is what we are doing here. Now, how do I know it is getting called? Okay, now I'll tell you how do we can check. Okay, now let's see whether it's working or not. Then we'll go back to that. Okay. Now, let me refresh. Okay, let me put a name. Let's, okay, I put my name shown here. So, okay, whatever was the previous one is working. So, we haven't broken anything. That's a good thing. Now, say I take out the name here. I show here. See, it is working fine. Now, assume it is not working. How do you debug? That's the other thing. Okay, there are many ways you can debug that. You can write something into that. Okay, First of all, it's not working. You don't know whether it's coming here or not. If it is not coming here or not, like normally what I do there is I just put a what's it called? Call component, fire, data provider. Okay, fire notification. So just normally I put it here. Okay, then I just put here summary. Hey, I'm here. I'm here. Okay, this is what I do here. If I do here, now what happens? As soon as I come here, this has happened here. So basically, I know that. Okay, that's an easier way. You can also do it through that HTML. That is also one way you can do that. But that's a bit is the easier way. I follow that. Okay, now I go here. I do here. Okay, so here, see that here I'm here. So basically, it's going in. Okay, that is one good thing. So we don't have to worry about that part. It is going in. Just I'm going to tell it. Now what happened within the function? Okay, now I can go to that function here. I can you can say here alert, alert, and here. Okay, now the alert has to be fired. Okay, you can also say the system console, like you can write the information to the console, and you can debug it through the uh, browser. That is also you can do that. Okay, now let's see how it is working. Or you can put a debugger, because since it is a JavaScript, you can put a debug points over the like stop points. Then you can do that. Okay, now let's see what happens. See, I'm here. It is working. This is also one of the way you can do that. So basically, it is perfectly working. So this is how I debug. This additional information which is not in that tutorial. Okay, I think we are almost done with the tutorial now. Now what else we are doing here? Okay. Push your changes. Okay, now basically it's telling to push the changes into the GitHub. That you can do that. You don't need the tutorial for that. Now, the only thing we can do here is they didn't change the name of the. I believe they haven't changed the name of it. We just go on to the you go here create order. Okay, we go to the page designer. Okay, I'm closing this part so I get more space. Sorry. I'm also closing this part. Okay, more space here. I change this to what? There's a title. Okay, title symbol. Okay, form layout. Okay, something. Oh, yeah, sorry, give me the general ID page title. Say here. Okay, there's the two things you can say that page title. You can use a variable. You can create a variable. You can put that, or I'm not sure why it is not giving you a translation in the title. I don't know. Supposed to be a translation. Okay, I put the name called welcome from Redwood World. Okay, subtitle. You can say lesson one. Okay, you can say lesson one. Okay, that's it. So now if you look at that, lesson one is coming here. Subtitle is here. So I'm going to run it one more time. Just I'm refreshing it. So that's it. Welcome Redwood World. Fine. Okay, now we already done everything. Okay, that's all about the tutorial number one. I mean lesson number one. If you have any question, you can put it in a comment. If you have any suggestion, tell me that. Okay, I am also learning. I am not like an expert in this area. I am learning it. I have done a few works in the vanilla version of the Visual Builder, uh, but I am learning. So if I'm making a mistake, please feel free to put a comment into that. Okay. Thank you. Bye.